Hey friends, good morning. It's about 10 o'clock here, and you can see I'm not walking. I'm sitting down at a pasteleria. It's a pastry and coffee shop, basically, and I ordered a chocolate croissant to go and a coffee with milk for here. And they're interesting. Let me turn this around, I'll show you. So here's my little coffee. You can see how big the cup is. Not very big, and that's how they serve their coffees here. Either this or even just the smaller, maybe you've seen those small little shots of espresso. So this is a typical size for a coffee, or you get that little small shot of espresso, which I'm not really interested in that. I don't need all that, but just enjoy a little cup of coffee this morning by the river. So let me see what I can show you here. You're not going to see the river here, but this is the kind of the heart of the downtown of Agueda. And then down, if you look over there, you can peek around the corner by that blue building, and you can start to see the umbrellas a little bit. There are a couple umbrellas out here. So I mentioned this town is known for their colorful and particularly their umbrellas. I read about the history and I don't remember it top of my head on why they did that, but I remember they wanted to bring more vibrancy and more joy to the city, which I love that. So they enlisted this umbrella project is what it's called. And they have brought, obviously, more joy. And what they've also done then is brought tourism. It really boosted the tourism because people want to get their photos with the umbrellas, which is fun and fascinating. And they're beautiful, right? I shared some photos yesterday that you can take a peek at. So I want to chat with you quickly. I've received a lot of notes and comments regarding my toes and some thoughts around that, and I want to share that I am confident things work out always the way that they need to. I know that not everyone believes that, and I know that for a lot of people it's not their preferred way of choosing to see that there are lessons and opportunities in everything, and that's okay. I choose to say, if I'm going to be experiencing this, whatever quote this is, then I'm going to do the best that I can to find the lesson, the opportunity, the nugget in it that is meant for me to learn. And sometimes, friends, that might be as simple as change your shoes, and it could be more profound in maybe there's some other healing that I need to do. If the feet are the foundation, maybe there's other healing that I need to do, and more of a spiritual energy side of things. What I do, though, differently from some, is that I do choose to mix the two. I don't go all in and say it must only be a spiritual thing and just completely disregard that maybe it's actually just the physical shoes, right? But I also don't just look at it and say maybe it's only the physical shoes. Like, I'm willing to look at it from a holistic, more holistic perspective, in that there are multiple possibilities, which means multiple opportunities. And the way that I look at this is, if I'm willing to explore and be curious and keep my hands open to the wondering of, that's when the answers are allowed to come in, right? That's when we see the comment that maybe that sparks a different idea. We see the whatever it is that allows us to think in a different way, so that we can then bring clarity to ourselves, right? So I look at this with my hands open and saying, okay, this is going on. I'm curious. I want to understand, and I'm going to be open to noticing and hearing the messages that are coming my way. Whether it's as simple as maybe get a new pair of shoes, or maybe it's more complex and there's truly some spiritual healing behind it that can take place. So a couple specific things I want to share with you. my husband, bless his heart, last night we were visiting, and it was before bed. We always obviously visit before bed. And he typed in our chat, if love and good thoughts could heal your feet, you could walk to France tomorrow, which made me a little weepy, and it is even just saying it out loud again today. If love and good thoughts could heal your feet, you could walk to France tomorrow. And that was just so sweet. And I loved it, and it was just such a kind sentiment that he had shared. And please hear me, like that's I needed to hear that. That felt really good to hear from him last night. And we even talked through that, and understanding that, you know, if I'm a words of affirmation as my love language, then hearing things like that make it, that just feels really special, especially coming from him. You know, he's my favorite human. So Jasny, if you're watching, you're my other favorite human. But as my husband, he's my favorite human that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And so hearing those words come from him felt really good. And then I woke this morning and I thought, if love and good thoughts is what it took, maybe there's more to it, right? Maybe there's more to it. And the thinking around this that I was having, and maybe this needs to be on a walk and talk, because then I'm like moving and in cadence, and the things just kind of drop in. But what came to mind this morning is, how often do we, because one of the things I said to him following that was, you know, how much I appreciate, and I love those words. And also sometimes it feels a little lonely, because everyone is dealing with their own things, right? You're back home dealing with what you're dealing with, probably getting ready at some point today to go to work, or, you know, take care of the kids, or get the kids off to school, or whatever that looks like. And I'm just sitting here walking and dealing with these blistered feet. And sometimes life in general, look who just showed up. Hold on, I have to show you. Hi, buddy. I saw this dog wandering last night. I wonder if it's just a local dog that just gets to hang out. Anyway, that was fun. So I was wondering, in how we compare and how we send quickly, you know, prayers and thoughts, loves and thoughts, loving kindness, prayers and love, whatever, all the things that we share, right? We send all of those things. And also sometimes I want a solution. Sometimes can we send solutions? Sometimes can we, and it goes back to what I was just saying, like sometimes can there be another comment that allows us to expand and think differently? And that's not to take away from the love and thoughts, right? The prayers and thoughts, the kindness, all of those good things, because that matters too. And there are times when can we drop in solutions? And I'm not specifically speaking toward my feet and my personal situation. I'm thinking about this as the bigger whole, and the bigger conversation around is particularly in the spiritual world, that so many people, and this is when and why I started to choose to kind of take it in more of a holistic approach, because there was some critique going on around the spiritual community where you send your love and light and then you move on and figure you've done enough, right? And it started to make me wonder, like, well, what is enough? When is it enough? What is the line? How much can I give? Is there something else I should be doing? Maybe it's this conversation. Maybe that, you know, adds enough to the story so that we look at things differently. Maybe, you know, if there's a tragic accident and we all send love and light, what about what actually needs to get done in order to do the cleanup? And I'm not saying we all have to dive in and give all of our resources and do all of the things, but it's just a conversation that I woke up thinking about this morning and exploring, because all of those kindness, those good words, like all of that makes me feel really supported, and it makes me want to figure it out, and it makes me want to keep going, and I do anyway. but it just adds another layer to it, right? And also, sometimes give me the solution that works. And so it's an interesting dynamic. And you know what's really fascinating is as I was leaning into that and thinking about that and doing a little meditation this morning with my yin yoga and stretching, shortly after I was looking at a couple of comments, and a friend of mine, Arwen, bless you, thank you if you see this, talked about her Camino experience with blisters briefly, and I asked her to share more, so we'll see if she does. I hope so. And she ended up, she walked a different path than I did. It sounds like she walked the more traditional northern Spain from France across path, in that what worked for her eventually was finally letting go of her walking shoes and getting I can't think of what they're even called now, like sandals, but not sandals. She used a word and I can't think of what they're called, but they're like the open toe hiking sandals, I think is what she called them. And it got me thinking. I had a plan for today, and it got me thinking about trying something different, because what I realized is that overnight I let my toes all breathe. I cleaned everything up, let them all breathe, and they did some healing overnight because of it. They're not fully healed, but they're on their way. And so I think I've landed on something I'm going to give a shot today, while also have my sneakers. And I don't know if that would have dropped in without Arwen saying something. And that's, I guess, what I mean is when we have something, let's contribute, right? And when we don't, send me all the love and kindness. Let's send each other those good words and that good energy, because it does matter. It certainly does matter. And when we have a thing that says, you know what, actually this could be a contributing piece to what Jen is going through, or what whomever is going through, then let's make sure we also include that, because it all matters. So those are some of my thoughts this morning. I cannot check into my room today until 4 p.m. because I'm not stopping at hostels. And maybe this is another perfect reason why I'm not staying at hostels. I've mentioned previously that if you're staying at a hostel, a lot of the time pilgrims will get up and they will leave and start walking between 5 and 6 a.m. So that they can be assured that they're going to get to a hostel in time, that there is still a bed available. And I'm not interested in that race, as I've shared with you. And what's interesting is I was thinking about getting going today between 9 and 10 and then arriving to my place early, but I reached out and they do not allow early check-in. They said potentially 3:30 is the earliest that I might be able to get in, and they'll let me know, which means that I'm just going to take it a little easier this morning. That's why I was able to just come and have a coffee and sit and have a conversation with you. And so I think understanding that too, like everything really is on our side. Everything is working for us when we allow it to. And also, let's not only just assume the spiritual piece, right? Because it can be bigger than that. It's always bigger than that. I think it's more holistic and we need to include all of it. So anyway, friends, so much going on, so much to share. I'm going to give you one last shot of this dog. He just came back. Hi, buddy. There he is. Okay. Later on the walk, maybe I'll tell you a little bit about the spiritual meaning behind blisters. So my dear friend Janelle and I both have the same book. And when we were visiting yesterday, she reached out and shared that with me. So I'm going to chat with you a little bit about that. I'll do that later while we're walking. So I hope you have a great morning. I will talk to you soon. Bye, friends.